All right, what's up, Dragon Brood? We're going to be doing a series of deck techs. Hopefully, these will all be short and sweet, but we're going to try to cover most of the major creature types that are coming out in Bloomburrow, so that way y'all have some stuff you can build with from day one, and you can just, pilfer these for ideas, if nothing else. But today, we're going to start with mice. We're starting with 3 Cheeky House Mouse. Now, this card's good, and it's an older, I say older card. It came out in Wilds of Eldraine, but it does do double duty, right? If you just have to play it turn 1, it's a 2/1, which is a sizable body. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any Valiant abilities, but the adventure on here does give something +1/+1, and it can't be blocked by things 3 or greater. So this actually makes it a way that maybe you can punch past a big creature your opponent has sitting there or whatever. And it's also very, very cheap, because we're going to be skimping on land on this list quite a lot. Emberheart Challenger, this is another one I really like. It does have haste, it does have prowess. We don't have a ton of non-creature spells, but we have a decent amount. And this actually lets you get another card off the top of your library. This is big because everything in this deck's really cheap, so having this as a way to kind of keep fueling your hand is pretty nice. And we have some ways we'll be able to target stuff multiple times, or at least each turn. Flowerfoot Swordmaster, this makes a lot of sense as well. It's a 1/2 for 1. If you have mana to spend later, it has an offspring cost of 2, so for 3 mana you can get 2 creatures. And then if it becomes a target, you get, well, for the first time each turn, basically what Valiant says. I'm not going to repeat that every time. But when it becomes the target, mice you control get +1/+0. Not this card, but mice you control. So it's a way to pump everything as you want to go wide. Heartfire Hero, this one's pretty cool too. If you're able to target this, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Then when it dies, it deals damage like the Scamp or whatever that the red decks have been playing. So this one is a little tough because it is just a 1/1 for 1, but it can grow very quickly because of the number of things we have that can target it. However, it can only grow 1 each turn, so you got to get a little creative. Of course, we're going to play Mabel. Mabel pumps all of our other mice. Mabel's a 3/3 for 3. And Mabel makes a, treasure, an actual equipment that you can equip to things. It does have equip cost of 2, but it does give that creature +1/+1, vigilance, trample, and haste. So really good overall. Manifold Mouse, this is another one we like, has an offspring of 2, so for 4 mana you can get 2 creatures. But at the beginning of combat on your turn, target mouse you control gains your choice of double strike or trample till end of turn. This is big for a couple of reasons. One, it's something you can have every turn that guarantees you get to target a mouse. That's already big. But the fact that, let's say you play one of the other creatures on turn 1 that, is a 1/2, right? And then you play this on turn 2, you can make your other mouse a 2/2 with double strike, attacking on turn 2. That's 4 damage already, right? Before anything else starts happening on the next turn. So this card, really good. And then another card, once you kind of do your searches and see, hey, what mice are in standard, turns out there's a mouse, also from Wilds of Eldraine, that you could play. And this one's kind of neat that it makes the second spell you cast each turn a little bit cheaper, which is good because we do have a couple things that have some colorless in the cost. But then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield, you get to give something else +1/+1 until end of turn. I guess it could be itself, but you want to target something with Valiant if you can. So you have multiple mice here that can target other mice and benefit other mice, which is what's really good. Now, getting into the spells here. We are playing 1 Dewdrop Cure just as a way to do something late game, whether that's return multiple things to try to set up a win, maybe get back some of our key creatures that need to target stuff, whatever the case may be. But I just wanted one thing as like, maybe if things go bad, we can dig this card up. Couple of get lost. These don't target our things, but there are going to be some bats, some frogs, maybe some big raccoons, whatever. Hell, still Shieldreds, right? That you want to get out of the way. So get lost, still a good card. Obviously, same thing can be said here of Lightning Helix. Doesn't target our stuff, but it's just good for what we're doing. Now, something that does target our cards is Might of the Meek. And this doesn't seem really insane on its face. And I wouldn't say that it is, but it's good when combined with Valiant stuff, right? Because for 1 red mana, you can give something +1/+0 and trample till end of turn, but you also get to draw a card if you have a mouse. That's the biggest thing here. So it's another way to kind of keep fueling your hand, get these cheap creatures out, even help you recover after a sweeper, right? Like, you can start stockpiling some mice to play right after the fact, and boom, 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 get in there all over again. So really like this. I do have a couple of Monstrous Rage in here because, again, if you can pump your mice, why not? You get an extra bonus. and you get to get the extra +3 and the counter. So like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, an interesting thing here I did add to this list are a couple of equipment. One is Lost Jetée, because one, it's very, very cheap, right? It's 1 mana, but it also is 1 equip cost. Now, the upside's really nice because you can have target creature not block if you're able to remove charge counters. So you could target your own things and make them not block because you don't care, you're attacking for the turn, which is kind of interesting. But it also lets you equip multiple things for 1 mana. So if you have 3 mana, you can equip something, you can equip something, you can equip something, which is actually pretty sweet. I think equipment being able to target is something people forget, but it actually is really, really good here. Another equipment that only has 1 equip cost that I think is pretty good here, and conveniently has a rabbit in the artwork, so of course we're going to play it, is short bow. Now, this does cost 2, so not as cheap as the Jetée, but the Jetée is also legendary, so I was looking for something else. This gives a creature +1/+1, the creature gets vigilance, a creature gets reach. So this is also good because you can put it on something, attack if you want to, and then if you need to keep something on defense, you can move it to something else and give something else reach. Or, you know, the creature itself can just keep it and have reach because you have vigilance. Just depends on kind of the game state. But either way, being able to move equipment around for 1 mana also helps you trigger all your stuff, which is super nice here. Now, as far as the lands go, we're not going to do anything too surprising. There's some Cavern of Souls, you know, your multi-lands, but we are playing 1 each of the new, I don't know, I guess we'd call them village lands. I don't know, we don't have a name for these yet. But you can only use white mana from these to cast creature spells, which is fine. We know that restriction, but you can pay to untap it, so later in the game, you can look at the top 6 cards of your library and you can put a rabbit into your hand, or a mouse into your hand. I'm building a billion decks at once, obviously. But this is actually going to be really cool just because it's a late game way to find something to help yourself out. And we're also playing 1 rock face village because this allows you to give something haste each turn. Again, you can only use the red mana to cast creatures, but we are playing like 24 creatures in here, so we're kind of okay. The only downside will be if you get some of your spells like Lightning Helix, because you need 2 color mana. That's going to slow down your kind of production a little bit on what you can do on some turns. But I think that's reasonable to give up in this build to be able to do what you want to do and be as fast as possible and still be able to cast all your stuff. I think there is a way you could play without Lightning Helix or Get Lost if you want to just play more things that can target your stuff. I just wanted to lean on the side of, err on the side of caution a little bit to give yourself a chance to take out some of the defenders that might be in the way that might be too big for some of your little mice. So yeah, overall, this one seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. This is one I'm expecting to see a lot of in the early part of the season, just because it's going to play fast. It's going to have a lot of resiliency. I think overall, this deck can be built a couple ways. Like I said, you can play more Dewdrop Cure if you want to try to play the long game. If you think people are bringing a lot of sweepers, Brotherhoods ins, that type of stuff, like that's a direction you could go with this for sure. But yeah, lots of different things you can try. So obviously with any of these lists, don't think these are the only way to build them. But I like the way this looks right out of the gate. But if you haven't followed or subscribed yet, I think you should, because if you want these other deck lists, I'm going to be running a bunch of them out over the next what looks to be 36 hours. So stay tuned if one of your favorite creature types hasn't been covered yet. But hey, if there's one you want to talk about, let me know in the comments. We may get that up next. If you like this one or you have suggestions, let me know, because we can try those during the streamer event. Otherwise, that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.